Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 11 of OS77SC's commentary series. Today's feature will pertain a 2v2 matchup that does not include a Terran player. And let me tell you, there has not been one replay on my channel that did not have at least one Terran player since episode number 1, which was a PvP. Since then, there has been at least one Terran player present in each game, so all you Terran haters can rejoice. We have Shawn, our red Protoss player, spawning alongside Dextor, our blue Zerg player, here on Discord 4, pitted against BKvendetta, our teal Zerg, and our purple Protoss Zion. Of course, Zion gracefully sent in this replay, so may you all give props to him. As you can see by our production tab, everything is getting underway quite normally, and let me give you a little bit of an update on my commentary series quality. Of course, as you know, I'm getting a new hard drive in a matter of months, and Fraps, which takes a lot of read-write speed, will benefit from this, so you will not have any slightly choppy moments as we had just there. And in addition, I realized that recently I've been encoding my videos in the Xvid codec, and processing them at 1280 by 720, which is not my native resolution. My native resolution is 1366 by 768, but 1360 by 768 in StarCraft. So I will be keeping this native resolution and encoding this video in x.264, as I normally did for my other 8 replays, to provide you with the best possible quality. I've always been huge on quality over quantity, so I hope that you benefit from the better looking resolution of this video and just the clearer pixel quality, because I looked at the 720p on my latest videos this morning and it was not pleasurable to look at. So with that, let us continue underway here with Shawn boasting a gateway and a forge. So forge fast, not necessarily fast expand, but just an early forge to hold off against opposing Zerg pressure. While we have this spawning pool from Dextor, I apologize, I'll have to get a little more acquainted with my names, and BKvendetta already finished his own spawning pool. So now he goes for the Roach Warren, while Zion has only a pylon, actually. Oh, no, sorry, a pylon, double gateway, so 3 pylons and 2 gateways. So BKvendetta has now left the game. Jeez. So it looks as though Zion will be left alone to fend for himself. There we see the dot, not even sure how many dots are there. And so this actually marks the second consecutive replay that one of our players has left. Well, in the previous game, Disruptor was defeated, so Zion will now have to play alone against Shawn and Dextor. That's an immediate disadvantage, especially this early in this game. His opponent's still gathering minerals, so he will get a boosted economy as a result, since all of his, of course, resources will go to Zion. But now Zion can actually macro for BKvendetta. I do believe, I would imagine he has control of his units and this Roach War in here, so hopefully he'll be able to somewhat micromanage and macro manage 2 economies. That is quite a feat in itself, so if Zion can just simply last, it will be a remarkable game. And so this is one of 7 replays he sent me in a few weeks back. And on a personal note, just yesterday did I get back from a cross-country ski trip that I embarked upon alongside Hesperide. Not just him, a group of other athletes with whom I train for sprint canoeing. But we embarked on this journey for 3 days to train cross-country skiing as we train over the winter. And Hesperide was there, so nothing like some good suffering in the mountainous hills of Mount Orford to complement my StarCraft 2 partnership with Hesperide. So hopefully that whole relationship will have progressed as a result. But nonetheless, off of the personal stuff, let us get back to some StarCraft 2. We have a 4-gate robo with cybernetic score and forge for Zion. So quite well played so far, actually. This build has been executed quite well. Well, his Protoss opponent has the 2 fast photon cannons, 3 gateways, fast Twilight Council in the forge, and now a robotics facility. So quite comparable situation for our Protoss players. Well, Dextor simply has the Roach Warren and Zerg, sorry, spawning pool, what am I saying? The Zerg Warren, and now BKvendetta's Overlord idling here outside of his opponent's base. Now we have Protoss ground weapons level 1 in production here for Zion amid a number of other things, including a robotics bay. So early Colossi or something of the sort. Well, most probably early Colossi, as that is all a robotics bay allows you to produce. We have 2 robotics facilities, a robotics base, so Zion is actually on fire 7 minutes into this game with 5 photon cannons. And let me tell you, having played against Zion a number of times, you do not want to mess with one of his bases. One time when I was playing a 2v2 against him with a friend of mine, I forget whom, he actually had a funnel, literally a funnel into his base, just covered by photon cannons, pylons. It was hell. It took me, I believe, 45 minutes to break that defense. It was just so admirable. So now he simply has BKvendetta's drones supporting his economy, and I'm sure it was not intentional. BKvendetta's leaving us. He had gone about a quite orthodox strategy, so it must have been something personal or just it matters to attend to. That's why sometimes StarCraft 2 can get a little bothersome, as you know, and any disturbance in real life can pry you away from the game, and thus pretty much a victory. So now we have this dark shrine here for Shawn and his expansion all the way over here. So a lot of tech play and glial reconstitution, which I believe is roach speed, since Zion personally confronted me regarding this. I forgot it in a past game. And an infestation pit, as well as an extractor. So now this dark shrine from Shawn, along with the warp prism, can probably point to some drops, some warp prism DT drops or something of the sort. And so a very heavy tech play with hallucination in production from Zion and 2 observers, in addition to extended thermal lens. He has these 2 colossi upgraded 100, and I'm not sure any. Oh, here is no upgrades for Shawn, and I'm not sure about Dextor. But he has 28 Zerglings in production, so now here's this observer secretly traversing Zion's base. He will be detected by one of these photon cannons, or will he? He will most probably be detected by one of these observers themselves. So now this observer idling, as we have the hallucinations. Not sure if they were actual, well, not hallucinations, we have the actual sentries. Not sure if they were spotted by Shawn, but if Zion can pull off some hallucinations, this could prove very beneficial for him, with 2 immortals now in production. So Zion has just played very tech, as have his opponents. However, we have this pneumatized carapace. So Zion, may you please personally correct me as to what this does. I'm not sure. I believe it may be a health upgrade. I'm very sorry. I'm not the sharpest with my Zerg upgrades. I'll have to look into them, as Dextor boasts quite an impressive Roach Zerg ball, while Zion has expanded. So it would be quite intelligent for the red and blue team to hit this natural and cut off Zion's economical production power. Well, let us just look at Dextor's admirable level of eggs hatching. And I can distantly hear the warp-in sounds from Shawn's stalkers. So I'm not sure if any hallucinations have been put to use yet. I do not believe so. So we have these immortals. No upgrades, though, in production for either Protoss player. And another robotics facility here for Shawn. 2 more. I'm completely. I cannot even speak. 2 more robotics facilities in production, and just so many gateways from Shawn. So this is a quite interesting game so far. We have a massive army from Zion, but this is easily outnumbered. Well, not necessarily. Yes, it is quite easily outnumbered by Dextor's forces, though they are much weaker, as they're simply Zerglings and a few roaches. Well, we have a Baneling nest nonetheless, and Shawn has an expansion. So does Zion. Dextor is at the gold here, producing nothing. No drones, however. And Shawn actually has the smallest army. He's now warping in a multitude of units, as all of his gateways are beginning to finish, along with his robotics facility. So the Protoss warp is hard at work here, as we have shields level 1 for Shawn, blink, and these gateways finishing. 26 more Zerglings for Dextor, and centrifugal hooks, in addition to Zerg, melee, and carapaces level 1 respectively, so both of them upgrading. While Zion still has this 1-0, no upgrades in production for him, and just a multitude, these 2 robotics facilities, the robotics bay with the extended thermal lens colossi, a number of warp gates. I'm not sure who has more. I believe Zion has more. He has 10, Shawn has 8, so quite a close, very close in tech game. We have this Twilight Council here from Shawn, and I'm unsure as to whether or not he has actually put to use any Dark Templars. he had the Dark Shrine produced. It is still sitting here idling. So we have a number of Baneling morphs, and along with centrifugal hooks, this will most probably prove dangerous. And finally, the robotics bay in here. So I believe all Shawn is missing is the Templar Archive, which tends to be often omitted in Protoss play. I mean, we've seen it a few times in the past couple of games, and it just has not been used too well. So the Templar Archives is worth it, but only under very selective circumstances. So now we have a push, I believe, from Zion, and these Colossi spotting the Warp Prism, but now the Warp Prism will spot the Colossi. So these Colossi can actually probably run over the Warp Prism with their massive height. And Shawn will now attempt to warp in some Dark Templar, a bold move indeed. Zion will have to retreat, but now he has the Observer and effectively eliminates the Dark Templar. So, smart Observer play by Zion. He could have lost so much had he not procured the Observer in time. So, minimal losses here for Zion. Just a damage to one Colossi, and I believe nothing else. So now, a number of Baneling morphs here. I believe these are entirely Banelings for Dextor, and just a couple of Overlords sandwiched in there. So now the Queen attempting to fend off Stalkers, but the Immortal will quickly bring it down to 4 health. The Queen is burned within its own skin by the extended Thermal Lance Colossi as Zion pushes boldly. So now we just have he's hitting now the gold hatchery for Dextor as these Banelings intimidatingly roll in and now kind of roll away, so I'm not sure where they will go. But these Banelings may be the answer to Zion's production capability, though he has no Warp Prisms, of which I'm a huge fan. Warp Prisms are mobile support. You know, they help to reinforce your forces on the go. Now these Immortals immediately engaging Shawn Stalkers, and the Protoss Zerg team just has, well, the red and blue team, as both teams of Protoss Zerg, just has no answer to the extended Thermal Lance Colossi. But let us watch over here. Nope, nothing in production. Every player just fighting for their own life as Dextor moves in here boldly into Zion's base. Colossi somewhat holding it off as the Banelings just melt through the door of Zion's base, and the Colossi actually holding off quite well. They will finally be overrun by these Banelings, but it is a matter of the last man standing. Zion's still pushing now as, oh, I apologize, a little bit of a nasal moment, but Dextor's Banelings just wiping out Zion's economy here, slowly but surely, and I'm not sure if Zion's going to be able to pull this one off. His forces just standing at Shawn and Dextor's front door, so it will be a quite close game as Dextor's Banelings just rolling about, deciding now to hit Zion's natural. So now here's just a desperate push from Shawn. Not sure if that was micro. Well, he may have selected to attack a specific building or unit, which is a common micro error. And not sure where the remainder of the Banelings went. Probably wiping out the remainder of Zion's economy. But now that matters little as Zion engages the opposing forces. Here's a Dark Templar from Shawn. This will most probably be spotted. It is. So the Observer here from Zion just essential as the rest of these Dark Templar wiped out quite efficiently. One of them remaining here, taking out some of Zion's Zealots. So he will amass a couple of kills. It's upgraded with just 1 shield, and Zion still has quite a lot of money. And the key here was BKvendetta's posthumous economy boosting Zion. He had no probes, but still BKvendetta's economy just boosting up Zion's, and now he will push demandingly on his opponent's base. 2 more Colossi in production, so his opponents just simply up the technical ante, but not the military ante. And here's Dextor. There you go, Zion, free win. And I'm not sure if this is sarcastic or if this is meant to be, you know, a bit of an insult as Shawn pushes with 3 Dark Templar, but you know, it was not necessarily a free win. I just believe that Shawn and Dextor's forces underestimated Zion's capabilities, and they forgot about his opponent's economy. I mean, sure, his partner, I apologize, had left the game, but that does not mean that you are out. As truly, the Zion had put that to use. He produced a number of drones early in the game, and they just boosted his economy. And Dextor pushed quite efficiently with his Banelings, but some of them were blown up for some unnecessary causes, as he forgot about this drone economy here from BK Vendetta. And so Dextor now facing the wrath of Zion's army as Shawn just idly built actually 6 gateways, so it would be quite laughable if he had already left the game and GG'd, but if Dextor is able to reverse Zion's strategy by microing Shawn's forces, perhaps he can overcome the adversity he now faces. And I apologize for this very choppy moment, just the domination exemplified by Zion is just too much for my hard drive to handle. So now Dextor has left the game, but Zion just presses onwards, eliminating his opponents ruthlessly. And so I'll take these next couple of minutes for which the game will continue. Let us check how long it continues on for so just a couple of minutes. And so I will continue until the replay is finished, as is somewhat my tradition. And so Zion's forces here, just eradicating his opponents. I believe that his opponents did not fully underestimate him, but they essentially just forgot that Zion can still hold his own. I mean, he wasn't essentially the best player in this matchup. Most probably was, but he's not by a large margin. I'm not saying, you know, Shawn and Dextor suck. They played quite well and quite technically. Shawn was able to keep up for the longest of time with his opponent's forces, but by investing so much in the Dark Templar, which were eventually held off by Zion's single observer, he was just that whole strategy just failed him, and Zion just, you know, his opponents just did not have a counter to his Colossi, which proved extremely useful. 26 kills and 28 kills for each of them, far more than any of these Stalkers, and close to the Immortals. So the robotics facility is not a building to be underestimated if you are a Protoss player, or if you are facing a Protoss player. Along with the robotics bay, it is quite a deadly combination. And here, as we can see, the total kills amassed by, let's see, 22, 23, that is 45, and then 10, that is 55, and then 26, that is 81, and 28, that is 109. So 109 combined units killed by Zion's, just simply his Colossi and Immortals. So truly, that is quite an admirable amount. And if one building, well, 2 buildings in total, are able to produce that many kills, they are well worth it, in addition to this essential detection received from Zion's observer. I mean, Shawn could have easily just looked for the single observer, and wiped it out. But, I mean, sometimes it is difficult to do such. Nonetheless, I will now wrap up the replay in laughing at, not necessarily laughing at, but laughing with Zion's impressive economy: 3,985 minerals and 3,261 gas. So overall, it was a solid game on both sides' part. It is truly a tragedy that BKvendetta had to leave, but nonetheless, a solid game all around. Cheers to Zion for sending this in. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you viewers for watching this video. This is Austin signing out from episode number 11 of my Aust77SC commentary series. Never forget to send your replays to Aust77SC@gmail.com. I will see you next time. Goodbye.